is all about microbes and pathogens, its types with details. From class 6th to 12th. For any test, m.cat, md.cat, neat, nta, u.mat, gamat, m.cc.qe, u.cat. Please subscribe the channel. Let's start. What are pathogens or microbes? Types of pathogen. Microorganism or microbes are microscopic organisms that exist as unicellular, multicellular or cell clusters. Microorganisms are widespread in nature and are beneficial to life, but some can cause serious harm. They can be divided into 6 major types: bacteria, archaea, fungi, protozoa, algae, and virus. What are pathogens? A pathogen is an organism that causes disease. Your body is naturally full of microbes. However, these microbes only cause a problem if your immune system is weakened or if they manage to enter a normally sterile part of your body. Pathogens are different and can cause disease upon entering the body. All a pathogen needs to thrive and survive is a host. Once the pathogen sets itself up in a host's body, it manages to avoid the body's immune responses and uses the body's resources to replicate before exiting and spreading to a new host. Pathogens can be transmitted in a few ways depending on the type. They can be spread through skin contact, bodily fluids, airborne particles, contact with feces, and touching a surface touched by an infected person. Pathogen types. There are different types of pathogens, but we're going to focus on the 4 most common types: viruses, bacteria, fungi, parasites, protozoa, proteins. Viruses are made up of a piece of genetic code, such as DNA or RNA, and protected by a coating of protein. Once you're infected, viruses invade host cells within your body. They then use the components of the host cell to replicate, producing more viruses. After the replication cycle is complete, these new viruses are released from the host cell. This usually damages or destroys the infected cells. Some viruses can remain dormant for a time before multiplying again. When this happens, a person appears to have recovered from the viral infection but gets sick again. Antibiotics do not kill viruses and therefore are ineffective as a treatment for viral infections. Antiviral medications can sometimes be used, depending on the virus. There are 4 kinds of viruses: helical viruses, polyhedral viruses, spherical viruses, complex viruses. Helical viruses is like the tobacco mosaic virus, which infects a number of different types of plant, have a slinky-shaped capsid that twists around and encloses its genetic material. Polyhedral viruses is like adenoviruses, which are known to cause a range of illnesses from pink eye to pneumonia, are composed of genetic material surrounded by a many-sided capsid, usually with 20 triangular faces. Spherical viruses is like the infamous coronavirus, are essentially helical viruses enclosed in a membrane known as an envelope, which is spiked with sugary proteins that assist in sticking to and entering host cells. Complex viruses is like bacteriophages, which infect and kill bacteria, resemble a lunar lander, and are composed of a polyhedral head and a helical body, and legs that attach to a cell membrane so that it can transfer its genetic material. Comparison of virus types. Novel coronavirus. Flu. HIV. Novel coronavirus. Belongs to coronavirus family. One RNA strand encodes 4 proteins. Does not integrate into the patient's genome. Contains proofreading enzymes. Flu. 4 belongs to influenza virus family. 8 RNA strands encode between 8-11 Proteins based on reading frame. 4. Does not integrate into the patient's genome. Does not contain proofreading enzymes. HIV belongs to retrovirus family. 2 identical RNA strands encode 15 proteins. Integrates into the patient's genome. Does not contain proofreading enzymes. Dengue virus, Zika virus 5 on. Hepatitis C virus 50 nm. Hepatitis B virus 42 nm. Poliovirus 20 nm. Hepatitis A virus 30 nm. Parvovirus 20 nm. HIV 112 nm. SARS 12 nm. Influenza virus 100 nm. Adenovirus 9 nm. Rotavirus 80 nm. Papillomavirus 60 nm. Coronavirus 140 nm. Variola-virus 360 nm. Herpes virus 200 nm. Rabies 180x80 nm. Measles 150 nm. Viruses. Multicelled but can only reproduce inside a plant, animal, or person. Corona, COVID-19, hepatitis, SARS, herpes, mono, AIDS, HIV, warts, influenza, chicken pox, cold sores, smallpox, cold germs, bird flu, H5N1, measles, norovirus, tetanus, yellow fever, typhoid, Ebola, hemorrhagic fever. We are going to bacteria. Please subscribe the channel. Bacteria. Bacteria are microorganisms made of a single cell. They are very diverse, have a variety of shapes and features, and have the ability to live in just about any environment, including in and on your body. Not all bacteria cause infections. Those that can are called pathogenic bacteria. Your body can be more prone to bacterial infections when your immune system is compromised by a virus. The disease state caused by a virus enables normally harmless bacteria to become pathogenic. Antibiotics are used to treat bacterial infections. Some strains of bacteria have become resistant to antibiotics, making them difficult to treat. This can happen naturally, but also happens because of the overuse of antibiotics, according to the WHO. There are 5 non-alien bacteria in the Earth's ecosystem, including the ones found in living beings. That is 5 × 10⁻30th power. Less than 1% of all bacteria that exist are considered dangerous to other living beings. If we stack all the bacteria on top of each other, they would create a line that would be 1 trillion light-years away from Earth. Bacteria are, when it comes to straight numbers, the biggest population of organisms that exist on Earth. Bacteria can be found almost anywhere on the planet, deep underground, below the deepest points in the oceans, and even 40 miles high up in the atmosphere. Bacterial shapes and names: Coccus, Diplococcus, Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, Bacillus, Diplobacillus, Streptobacillus, Bacillus, Bacillus, Spirillum, Spirochete, Filament 2, Tuft, Spirillum. Bacteria are tiny one-celled creatures, can live inside or outside the body. Some examples of bacterial infections: strep throat, urinary tract infection. Bacterial gastroenteritis, such as salmonella food poisoning. Bacterial meningitis, Lyme disease. Tuberculosis, gonorrhea, cellulitis. Pneumonia, peritonitis, stomach ulcers, tularemia. Fungi? There are millions of different fungal species on Earth. Just 300 sources or so are known to cause sickness. Fungi can be found just about everywhere in the environment, including indoors, outdoors, and on human skin. They cause infection when they overgrow. Fungi cells contain a nucleus and other components protected by a membrane and a thick cell wall. Their structure can make them harder to kill. Some new strains of fungal infections are proving to be especially dangerous, such as Candida auris, and have prompted more research into fungal infections. Fungi: Phycomycetes, Rhizopus, Saprolegnia, Rhizopus, Mucor, Albugo, Pythium, Ascomycetes, Yeast, Aspergillus, Penicillium, Neurospora, Pezisa, Basidiomycetes, Agaricus, Polyporus, Puccinia, Oostiligo, Lycoprodon, Deuteromycetes, Cercospora, Collectotrichum, Trichoderma, Pericularia, Fusarium. Fungi: multicelled but plant similar to tree fungus. Takes nutrition from a plant, tree, or animal. Ringworm, yeast infection, pneumonia, histoplasmosis. Candidiasis cryptococcus, vaginal yeast infections, thrush, ringworm, athlete's foot, jock itch, fungal nail infections. Please subscribe the channel before we go forwards. Parasites. Parasites are organisms that behave like tiny animals, living in or on a host and feeding from or at the expense of the host. Though parasitic infections are more common in tropical and subtropical regions, they can occur anywhere. 3 main types of parasites can cause disease in humans. These include protozoa, which are single-celled organisms that can live and multiply in your body. Helminthes, which are larger, multicelled organisms that can live inside or outside your body and are commonly known as worms. Ectoparasites, which are multicelled organisms that live on or feed off your skin, including some insects, such as ticks and mosquitoes. They can be spread several ways, including through contaminated soil, water, food, and blood, as well as through sexual contact and via insect bites. Here are some pictures of parasites. There are many kinds. Please pause your video to have a longer look. Parasites: actual complex living organism. Can live in intestinal tract or bloodstream. Some examples of diseases caused by parasites include roundworm, tapeworm or Gellans, giardiasis, trichomoniasis, malaria, toxoplasmosis, intestinal worms, pubic lice. Protozoa are one-celled animals found worldwide in most habitats. Most species are free-living, but all higher animals are infected with one or more species of protozoa. Infections range from asymptomatic to life-threatening, depending on the species and strain of the parasite and the resistance of the host. Types of protozoa: Didinium, Paramecium, Stentor, Derfluga, Trypanosoma, Carcesium, Euglena. Amoeba. Protozoa: one-celled creatures, usually spread through water. Protozoa are single-celled organisms that can sometimes cause diseases. Common protozoan diseases include malaria, giardia, and toxoplasmosis, Chagas disease, diptospondiosis. Diagnosing protozoan illness may involve blood tests, stool tests, or biopsies, depending on which protozoa a healthcare provider suspects. Treatment varies based on the cause. Please subscribe the channel before we go forwards. Pathogenesis-related proteins. Pathogenesis-related proteins are proteins produced in plants in the event of a pathogen attack. They are induced as part of systemic acquired resistance. Infections activate genes that produce PR proteins. Some of these proteins are antimicrobial, attacking molecules in the cell wall of a bacterium or fungus. Pathogenesis-related proteins, often called PR proteins, are a structurally diverse group of plant proteins that are toxic to invading fungal pathogens. They are widely distributed in plants in trace amounts, but are produced in much greater concentration following pathogen attack or stress. The better-known PR proteins are PR1 proteins, PR2, PR3, PR4 proteins, PR6. Functional classification of therapeutic proteins. Protein therapeutics with enzymatic or regulatory activity. Replacing a protein that is deficient or abnormal. Augmenting an existing pathway. Providing a novel function or activity. Protein therapeutics with special targeting activity. Interfering with an molecule or zero organism. Delivering other compounds or proteins. Protein vaccine. Protein diagnostics. Protecting against a deleterious foreign agent. Treating an autoimmune disease. Treating cancer. Protein multicelled but can only reproduce inside a plant, animal, or person. Some of the sickness PR protein will cause. BSE mad cow disease VCJD disease. Please subscribe the channel. We are waiting for your comments. About what topic you want MCQs, let us know in comments. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe the channel.